Well, the Sunday figures are all finalised for the box office, and Godzilla King of the Monsters has hit a bit of a fail. The US domestic estimates were around about $50 to $55 million. It came in a little bit under that with $47.7 million, but the real issue is the international number. The $130 million, which it got for its opening weekend/opening week in the international market, that's a lot weaker than the $180 million or so that were projected in a lot of places. $200 million was talked about as well. So a $200 million international open, nothing like that. $130 million. Very, very, very disappointing result for the Godzilla King of the Monsters film in the international market. This chart here has the non-inflation adjusted US domestic totals. We've got Godzilla in the blue, that's Godzilla from 2014. We have Kong Skull Island in the red. We've got Godzilla from 1998 in the yellow. And we've got Godzilla 2 or Godzilla King of the Monsters in the green. And if we look down on the left, we can see where the little green line is. It is in between the red and the yellow lines. Now, the yellow line for that Godzilla, the 1998 Godzilla, that's once again without inflation. If inflation is put onto that, it would be above the blue line, the other Godzilla. So the best performing film here with inflation is the older film, the 20-year-old odd film, Godzilla. But without inflation, it's doing a little bit worse than what Godzilla King of the Monsters is at this point in time. And the other bad news for the Godzilla film just out, Godzilla King of the Monsters, is it has a higher budget than all of these films as well. So it's not doing very well, and it's got an estimated $200 million budget. Some estimates are saying $165 million. It's got some tax credits you need to take off from where it was filmed at as well. But it's got a much higher budget than these other films here. So it's not doing quite as well as the previous Godzilla film, the blue one there, and not doing as well as the Skull Island, and it has a higher budget. So let's take a little look at the number breakdown. What did it actually get? Where did it earn its money at in the US domestic market? Well, on a Thursday, it nearly beat Aladdin with its advanced screening money. So it got an estimated $6.3 million in advanced screenings, and Aladdin got $6.4 million on the Thursday. So it was nearly unofficially the number one film on Thursday. On Friday, Godzilla was the number one film. It got $19.4 million versus $11.8 million for Aladdin. Now, the $19.4 million does include the $6.3 million from the Thursday advanced screenings. All films do that. But if we take the $6.3 million off, we get $13.1 million for the actual amount of money earned on Friday, which is still more than what Aladdin got. So it is the number one film on Friday without putting in the actual extra advanced screening money as well. But on Saturday, Aladdin retook the number one position with $17.2 million compared to only $16.1 million for Godzilla. Now, that wasn't unexpected after Friday's figures came out for Godzilla, because Aladdin is going to earn its money in a different manner to most films because it's a very children-orientated film. Children can't go and see it from Monday to Fridays, and so the Friday box office for Aladdin is not going to be as big as a normal Friday is, because you're not going to get a lot of people seeing it on Friday night. A lot of kids won't be out on Friday night seeing it, and you also won't get a lot of kids out on Saturday night seeing Aladdin compared to a normal film. But you will get what seems to be a bigger increase than normal on a Saturday and a Sunday, because that's when people are actually available to see it, and that's when families will be willing to go see the film. So Aladdin's Saturdays and Sundays should be stronger compared to its Fridays, compared to what you generally see for a film, and that's what we basically see here. So Aladdin got beat on the Friday by Godzilla, but Aladdin then had a better performance on its Saturday and its Sunday. And here are the Sunday figures. Aladdin, $13.7 million versus Godzilla's $12.1 million. And this $12.1 million is about an 8% reduction from the Friday total for Godzilla if we take the advanced screenings money out. So generally speaking, you want to see it keep around about the same money from Friday to Sunday. Again, if you take the advanced screening money out, so it's going to be less with the advanced screening money added into the Friday. But without the advanced screening money, you want to see Sunday around about Friday. That shows that word of mouth is generally good for the film and that it's not having some sort of catastrophic failure. And so, although this $47.7 million for Godzilla is below some of the estimates of about $50 to $55 million leading up to the Open, a week before the Open they were estimating about $40 million, so it overdid that. But the $47 million is a little bit softer than expected, but it's not softer because Sunday collapsed. So this is actually generally good news for the legs of the film. Yes, the money in the US domestic market isn't quite what some people were thinking it would get, but this isn't a catastrophic failure on the Sunday. So it should generally sustain money in a roundabout way that most films will sustain money. Okay, so again, the Sunday hasn't had a massive reduction from the Friday, so that means this kind of money that it has right now, that's going to be sustainable, generally speaking. The reviews for the film are generally bad from the so-called real critics, but if you look at Metacritic or other places like that where you have user scores, the user scores are generally okay. So the film is going to get a bad review, I think, generally speaking, because it's a Godzilla film. So Godzilla film just isn't going to get a good review. But for people that go see a Godzilla film, it's got something between like a 75 and an 80% score is what people are giving it roughly. So that's not bad. So that shows to me that it is a Godzilla film, and as a Godzilla film, you're getting what you expect, and what more can you really ask for? So no, it's not got some sort of crossover appeal, which I'm sure the studios would hope for. It's not going to be some sort of breakout success, but it's going to sustain this sort of generic middle-of-the-road amount of money from here on out. So if you look at another chart here with some other films with some similar openings this time to Godzilla King of the Monsters, we've got Ant-Man at the top, we've got Godzilla from 1998 again, we've got Pokemon Detective Pikachu in the yellow, we've got John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum in the green, and we've got Watchmen in the purple. Now, like the other chart from earlier in this video, this chart here does not have any inflation on it, and also like the other chart, the current Godzilla film is behind all of the other films except for the previous Godzilla film from 1998. The main thing to look for here is whether or not it'll go underneath the purple line. So the purple line there is the worst performing film with a similar opening to what Godzilla King of the Monsters got. Now, it is a better opening weekend, but I still think Godzilla King of the Monsters will be expected to get over that purple line there. Now, Godzilla King of the Monsters is still in front of the other Godzilla film, as I said before, so that's the next thing really to look for. If it doesn't curl down to go underneath the purple line, can it sustain money to stay above the red line, which will be pretty tough ask to do, but can it actually earn more money than what Godzilla from 1998 got? That's what we're basically looking at. I don't think it has any chance of getting above Pokemon Detective Pikachu, and obviously don't think it'll get above the other two films in front of that. And just taking a look at Pokemon Detective Pikachu and John Wick Chapter 3, which are both out in the movies still, John Wick Chapter 3 slightly behind Detective Pikachu right now, even though it was released a little bit after it, so it should sustain that kind of money and overtake Detective Pikachu in the coming weeks. It is earning a little bit less money than what Ant-Man earned week to week, so it's going to get less than $180 million that Ant-Man got, but it's doing pretty well compared to most expectations for what a John Wick film would actually do. The Pokemon Detective Pikachu figure right now is pretty much in line with what Shazam had at this point in time, but this is also the same point in time in which Endgame was released for Shazam, and so Shazam's box office actually flattened out quite badly at this point, so I think Detective Pikachu will overtake Shazam in relative terms because it hasn't got some big monster film eating up all of the available screens, so nothing else can actually be shown. Going forward, the main thing to look for this film is whether or not it'll actually be profitable. If you look at the kind of worst case scenario figures, put things towards the bad end, the $200 million budget I've seen listed, that's the highest one I've seen. Again, I've seen $165 million. I've also seen something like $20 million in tax credits are available as well. But if we go to the $200 million, we'll just go to the worst case scenario here, we're probably looking at another $100 million in marketing. That's generally what you use as a rule of thumb, about 50% over the actual production budget. So that's $300 million it needs to recoup to actually make a profit. And you're only going to get something like 60 or 50% of your actual box office money back from the actual theaters. So let's say it's only 50%, which is a bit lower than I think it'll get. That means it has to earn $600 million to break even. So it's not going to get $600 million from the looks of things right now. Okay, it's not going to get anywhere near $600 million. But $600 million, that's using the grossly exaggerated figures. So somewhere under $600 million is where it'll be profitable, but it's definitely not going to be easily a profitable film. It may kind of squeak in, again, depending on what the real production costs are. You never really find out what the costs are, but if the cost is something like half of what I'm saying here, will it make $300 million? Yeah, it should get to $300 million. It's over half of that already. But is it going to get to $600 million? No. So there's a good chance this film might take quite a bit of a hit, and it might be a bit of a loss maker. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time.